everyone, this is Peta Hewitt, La Artistino. Now I'm coming up to my 3rd year as a colourist, and I thought for the anniversary of my 3rd year that I would take you for a walk through most of what I have been colouring for the last 3 years. Now, disclaimer here, this won't be absolutely everything. I have coloured in quite a few books that I've just done a couple of pictures in and I've decided it wasn't for me. So some books have actually gone on to new homes where they'll be loved and coloured in and well cared for. So this is just most of what I have and most of what I want to continue to work in with. One of the things I had to work out before I started was what order to show you the books in. And I thought, well, most logically, I'll just show you from the very first book that I ever got. And this is, of course, The Magical City by Lizzie Mary Callan. This was a book given to me by my son for my birthday about 3 years ago. And this book is responsible for my whole colouring craze. Okay, I will go through each of the different artists and all their books that I've got in my collection that I've worked in, and then I'll move on to the single books that I have. Okay, so let's start with this book. Now, I already had a set of Faber-Castell Polychromos before I got this book because I am a bit of an artist and I do create a lot of my own work as well from scratch. So the very first thing that I coloured in here was this 2-page spread, and this I did with my Polychromos pencils. Looking at it now, I can see, well, this was just a beginner piece after all, and I can see all the different things that I would have changed and done differently in this. I certainly itch to sort of like go back and correct things, but I absolutely refuse to let myself do it because to me this is an historic piece. It's my very first piece of colouring, and I'm going to leave it just the way it is. After using the Polychromos, I thought I would break out my Derwent Inktense, another set of pencils that I've had for a long time and use a lot in my own art, and give it a go in this book. So I coloured in this picture of Sherlock Holmes, and just to see how this paper reacted with Inktense pencils. And I found that the Inktense pencils didn't dissolve completely, but I quite liked the texture of the pencil lines left behind. And I thought, well, I can use that in this as part of the style of colouring this book. So I enjoyed colouring in with Inktense so much, I decided I would do the whole book in it. So this was my second piece of colouring ever. And then I did this lovely big one of Camden Road, again with just the Inktense. As you can see, I hadn't started using the white gel pen at that stage. I came back later and I added these little sparkly dots to the dragon, but I was unfamiliar with using the white gel pen for highlights at that stage. I was used to using acrylic paint. And these 2 pages, I'll just sort of flick through them and say a few words about each one. I think this is blah to me. I tried several different things with this. I wasn't feeling it, and in the end I just did this and left it and thought, that'll do. I've come back to it a few times and added a couple of things. Still not happy with it, but it is what it is. I really like this one, and this one took me forever, but I enjoyed it. I'm just thinking, I don't think I have a YouTube video of that one. Then this great big one had me stumped for a while because there was so much blank space to cover, and I thought of doing a bit of highlighting and texturing and shadows in the mountains would fix that up. The actual Great Wall of China here, I added the bricks in, and this is where the property of the Inktense pencils, where they leave behind their pencil marks on the paper, came in, because I could do all the bricks in and then just run the water brush over the top and colour them all in from the colour I'd laid down on the lines of the bricks, but it still retained the shape of the bricks. And a couple more. I went mad with colours with this one. I wanted to do something really bright using all the colours I had, and I really like this one. I particularly like the ombre effect here, or down the mountain of the purple, blue, turquoise colour going into the green. They're fun though. They're always a very effective way to make something look really attractive, is to do this little sort of ombre of colours. My Egyptian piece. This is one of the books, by the way. I don't really like that one. That one didn't turn out the way I liked. There's a speed painting of that one up on my channel. So this is one of the books that I intend to finish, and I started this one with the intention of working through it page by page from front to back, and I probably will continue to do that because that forces me to colour in the pictures that I normally wouldn't pick, particularly like this one. And this is one I did when I was on holidays. These two have both got videos. This has just got a partial video, how to use the Inktense pencils, and this is a full video for colouring the entire picture. I think it's over 4 different parts. This one had me stumped for a long time. I sort of left it for about a year, and eventually I came back to it and thought, I've got to get it done or else I can't move any further with this book. And I don't mind it so much now. I actually don't mind how it turned out. This one I like. This is another one that had me stumped, and I wouldn't normally have done it, only I was making myself do each picture in order, and I love how it turned out. This is the one I'm currently on, which is the Mille one. I have added these pictures here. They're not part of the drawing, they're just my own little bits of art, so put some showgirls in. Just because there was such a big blank areas, I thought they needed filling. Eventually I'm going to fill the sky with fireworks, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but it'll probably involve either acrylic paints or gel pens. And the only other one I've done in here, flicking right, is this one. Now this was test page originally, where I was testing different media, and it was bugging me that I had this page and I hadn't completed it, so over a couple of days I just sat down and finished it off. I don't like it, tell you that. I don't like the colours I picked, but it's there, it's done. You don't like everything that you do. Okay, now I've also got Lizzie Mary Callan's The Magical Christmas. I've done 2 in here. Oops, this is one of them at the front. I like this one. I just felt like doing something really quick and simple, and I enjoyed this one. And the only other one is the one that there is again another speed painting for, and that's this one here, which I had an absolute ball doing. I did this last July for Christmas in July. I also have The Magical Journey by Lizzie Mary Callan, but I haven't started working that. I've got Buena Vista, which I coloured into review. This is one of, I think she's got a French book and an English-based book as well. This is great. It's full of all different quotes that you can find the translations for in the back there. So that was done with Inktense. This one was done with Kohinoor pencils. Actually I've got them here to show you. These Kohinoor magic pencils. And the beauty with these pencils is that they have different colours. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and get that to take. Yeah, you can see there's different colours in the combined in the core of the pencil, and the whole thing is a core. There's no wood around it, which is both good and bad. It gives you a hell of a lot of pencil bang for your buck, but at the same time you constantly waste it because you have to sharpen it down. So I think I preferred the other Kohinoors, which have wood. There we go. Put that to one side. So that one, and there's one more that I didn't realise until today that I'd started and not finished. And this one is with Inktense as well. So I'm going to get back and finish that because there's not terribly much to do with that one now. Okay, that's all my Lizzie Mary Callans. The next book that I got, which was the first book that I bought for myself, is this one by Angela Porter, and this is Colour Me Calm, which is the second in her series, second or third, the third in her series of books, I think. I bought it because I'm a fan of Angela Porter. I follow her DeviantArt page, and the chance to colour her work, yeah, I couldn't resist that. This is one also that I use if I don't want to do anything serious. I just want to do something that's I'm going to take all these tags out as I get to them. I just want to do something that's quick and easy, and you know, using colouring as relaxation instead of having to work out, you know, gorgeous colour schemes. Sometimes you just want to sit and colour and you don't really care what happens, and this is what I use this book for mostly. This one you'll recognise from my first colour pencil comparison video. Flick through to the next one. This one is using alcohol markers. It's actually my good Copic markers in this one. I used a combination of alcohol markers and gel pens. This one I used my Mirages Colour Rush pencils. This is one that's set half done for a while, and I sort of recently this year came back and finished it off. I've been going through a lot of my work that is only partially you know, work in progress ones. I had like up to 20 I think at one stage, but I've narrowed it right down. I think I'm down to about 5 now that I have to complete, and I'll eventually get round to all of them. You'll see some of them here in this video anyway. This is another one I did, which is just, again, just for fun. I didn't really want to work on a complex colour scheme or anything magic looking. I just wanted to colour because colouring's fun without thinking about it. This one I coloured in with special water-based markers that have glitter infused in with them. I don't know if it was a success, but you can see a little bit of the glittery stuff. This one was the first picture that I coloured in there here, and this is using the Polychromos pencils. And this again uses the Polychromos pencils. I like this one. I coloured this with a friend having a cup of tea at a cafe. And another one with Polychromos. I don't like the red border on this. I think that was just a bit too much next to the blue, but it is what it is. Now this section of the book has these little patterns with lots and lots of tiny little spaces, and I love this for using my gel pens and fine liners and little cheap texture colours. What you call markers, we call them texture colours here. The ones that I used in here, I think, were the connector pens, the Faber-Castell connector pens. Here's another one. This is all done with gel pens. We call them texture colours because the company that marketed a lot of markers in Australia was called Texture. And this one's another one with gel pens. This one I took a bit more time with. This, if you can see here, I've used a combination of my Faber-Castell Polychromos and a blue fine liner, and I've started by doing lots of little circles in with fine liner. Don't know if you can see there. If I just lift it up rather than, here we go. Hubby will zoom it anyway. You can see all the little circles there, and then I went over the top of it with a light blue pencil, and it gave the background a little bit more texture. I think I did this one about 3 years ago. I saw somebody recently, and I'm sorry I can't remember who, but I saw somebody recently use this technique in a colouring video as well, laying down a background with fine liners in a pattern. It's quite relaxing sitting there doing that. This is a page that I use as a test page for new pencils, so it's a bit psychedelic. There's another one. This is another one that I did just a quickie. I don't like the way it turned out. I was going for a particular colour combination. I'm not happy with it. And another quickie that I did. I think this was with Polychromos pencils. I'm not sure. Most of mine were Polychromos. This one was done with a new pack of Sharpies that I bought. They had brought out 5 new colours, so I used them in this. The good thing about this book is that it's single-sided, so you can do your alcohol markers in here without any problems. I think that's all. I have another couple of Angela Porter's books, but I haven't done any work in them, so there's no point bringing them out. Still going on the theme of my earliest books, here is one that I picked up at one of our department stores, Target. I believe this is printed in Britain, and there was a series of 4 of them. I bought 4 of them, but I gave 2 of them away because I don't need all 4. And this is another one that I use just for relaxation without really trying to create anything that's too complex. This I was using some new fine liners that I bought in pastel colours. This was like a test page where I was trying out all different mediums to see what the paper could take, and I was very pleased. None of this bled through, and I've got all sorts here. I've got I didn't use alcohol markers and I didn't use paint, but I used lots of different other sorts of markers and gel pens and anything else I could lay my hands on, and it all worked pretty well, but it's a bit psychedelic. Still fun to do. This is one that's not quite finished yet. It's done completely with gel pens, because sometimes I just want to muck around with gel pens. I was trying out the Faber-Castell Polychromos in here. I find it gives a lot of texture. It probably could benefit from perhaps blending, but I just left it the way it was. This is done with Mirages Colour Rush pencils. And that is actually an Angela Porter as well. This book is a combination of, I think, about 8 different artists and their work sort of like scattered throughout here. And Angela's features in here quite a bit. This was another quickie with gel pens with a little light dusting of pencil dust in the background. Here we go. This is another one done with Mirages Colour Rush. The Mirages Colour Rush works really well in this book. And another one, this is a combination of pencils and markers. I was about to say Texticolours again. Markers, and again, no bleed through at all. That's what I love about this. You can use your markers in this book with abandon because it works really well. And then there's nothing for a whole pile of pages, and then we've got this one, which is another one with the Mirages Colour Rush pencils. And another one which is a combination of using pastel markers and pencils. That's it for that one. One last one of these ones that I use just purely for relaxation, and this is one of the really relaxing colouring book series. This is actually number 1. Now I believe there are just heaps and heaps and heaps of them now, but this is the only one I've actually got. So this is one I use again just to mess around in without trying to produce anything that's too spectacular. This one I'm colouring in a repetitive pattern here with cheap pencils which are actually manufactured in Australia. They're called Columbia pencils, and they're sold as school supplies. I had a pack of 12 of those, so I'm using that on this one. Actually I use those Columbia pencils quite a bit. I'm going to have to get some more. This is the first picture I did in this book, and it's all gel pens. This is another page that I use to test pencils with, and this is just purely, all of these are cheap pencils, by the way, so you can see this book works really well with cheap pencils. I actually really like this. I didn't intend to make this a work that I would go back later on and think, oh, I really like that, but I do. This was a super quick one done with cheap and very horrible markers, just because I wanted to colour, but I didn't want to think about it, or I think I was a bit upset at the time or something, and I just wanted to throw some colour down on the paper. I didn't care what happened, I just wanted the feeling of colouring in something. So that's the sort of thing I do in my downtime when I don't want to do serious colouring. Here's another test page for textures of markers and pencils. And this was another super quick one I just threw together because I didn't want to think, I just wanted to colour. Have any of you guys got stuff like this where you don't really want to create a masterpiece, you just want to put the colour down on the paper and whatever happens, happens. And this is a hot mess. This is more testing of different mediums and testing of techniques, and it's just a wreck of a page. But anyway, that's what this book's for, so I don't care. As I said, that's the only one of this series that I have, and I have this one on the desk with me all the time, so I can just pull it open, and I might only colour like a couple of square centimetres, and then I'll move on to something else. It's sort of a warm-up book as well. Okay, let's get back to something that's a little bit more well thought out, something that's a bit more arty. And the next book will be The Enchanted Forest. Now this is my fourth colouring book ever, the third one being the Colour Me Calm one that I showed you just before. This was a surprise. My husband brought this home for me out of the blue along with Mirages' Animal Kingdom. And up until that time I'd heard of Secret Garden, but I didn't realise there were any other books out by Joanna Basford. Now you can see this is the English version, so it had a dust cover. I took the dust cover off to protect it, and that's been stored. Everything that I've got that has dust covers, the dust covers go off and into storage so they don't get ruined while I'm using it. And then when I put them back on, they look nice and new. This is the first page that I coloured in here, and this is done with my beloved Derwent Artist pencils, which are the pencils that I've had for the longest. I've had them for about 30 years now, and I love them, adore them. I've got the set of 72 in a wooden box, and I use them interchangeably along with my Polychromos pencils. And this of course is the second one. I have not written my name in here. A lot of the books you'll find don't have my name written in them. Skip that. And then decided to be very clever and do this two-tone. So this picture was made up of 3 tones of this cobalt blue and 3 tones of this sort of reddish brown, going into a flesh colour. Still really like that. I think it's pretty effective. This is another book which I decided to work from cover to cover, but I have sort of jumped all over the place since I decided to do that, because I jumped around and did a couple of other things. But on the whole, I'm mainly working from cover to cover with this one. These two are both done by using the Polychromos pencils. This is my first huge 2-page spread. I'm very proud of it. It took me about 2 weeks to do this. And again, Polychromos pencils. And here is my winter and autumn pictures. The owl and the squirrel, again with Polychromos. Most of my colouring is done with Polychromos pencils. I'll show you them. I think they're a lot of them are looking a little short, and I've replaced quite a few of them as well. This one I filmed in a how-to video as well, where I showed how I got the different effects on the different leaves. This one I'm not really 100% happy with. It was a picture I was kind of dreading doing, because it looked to me, it was so busy and all over the place, and I couldn't really work out a colour scheme that I liked. So in the end I just went ahead and put any colour down that I felt like. And again, it is what it is. I don't mind it. It's not great, but it's not bad either, I don't think. This is a picture, another one that I was dreading. This poor little reindeer as his head's squished in the centerfold. But for some reason it just worked. I really like the way the colours turned out in the end. I think I was a bit more disciplined with my choice of colours. I also used a brown soft pastel to rub in a little framing background for it as well. Very quick and simple. I like it now. It's one of my favourite pictures in this book. And this one, a lot of you will recognise. This one took me about 10 days I think to do, from conception to finished. And this is the one of course with the reindeer with the curly horns and no background, and I've added the background. That was fun. I don't often do that, but when I do it I enjoy it. I'd like to do more of it, but then sometimes I just want to colour the picture itself and not worry about the background. That's fine as well. This one was one where I rubbed in the soft pastels first, and then I went in with a couple of gold gel pens and coloured in everything and made this little bird white as an interest spot. I trying to line this book up and with my camera. I keep shifting it around. I'm trying to keep them all straight for you guys. I think it's all in the picture. It's a bit hard to see. This is my second double page spread. Again, took me a long time to do, and I've added the background in as well with the clouds and this very, very simple mountain range and hedge, and the little fox guy here as well. It's something that personal touch that I added. Again, all done with Polychromos. Okay, these are another two that I really didn't know what I was doing with. I used metallic pencils for this one. I think they were the Derwent metallic pencils, the little set of 12 that you can get. And this one I did actually only last week. It's one that's been sticking with me again. I couldn't get past it, didn't know what to do for it. I have a feeling that I really need to put some kind of darker background in, but if I do it or not, we'll see. At present, I'm happy to leave it just the way it is. I might add to it later on. Now, we skip ahead here to, oh no, I said before the other one was the very first double page spread I did in this book, but no, I was lying. This is actually the very first double page spread that I did. And this one I did again with Polychromos pencils and with shiny gel pens. I think you can catch the little shine there in the light, and the background all done with just colouring in with several different types of olive colour in the Polychromos, and then adding a little sparkle with a white gel pen as well. Now we jump ahead in this book, great big swap that I haven't done. And you'll recognise this one. This is the one for my very first tutorial. I noticed it's been a bit of transference of pencil from one side to the other. I'll probably rub that all out and then spray this with fixed tip, and that'll stop that from happening. This one I did late last year, and this was a kind of a bet to myself, a bit of a challenge, where I would see if I could colour an entire picture to my satisfaction using those. And what these are is just a Derwent Studio colour pencils, just an ordinary 12 pack there. These were given to me by my mother-in-law. They were unused school supplies from one of the kids that she looked after. And I have managed to do almost this entire thing purely with this set of 12 pencils. I started this one off with some watercolour paint. I coloured some of the flowers in yellow, and I coloured the body of the frog in that sap green colour. And after that, it just sat for a while with nothing on it until I decided to finish it using these. And I'm really, really happy with the way it came out. All of the different colours you can see there are used by combining layers of different colours from this pack. And I finished it off with a sparkly yellow gel pen as well for a bit of extra effect. And I think, yeah, I know I've used a white gel pen as well. So really, really happy with that one. Just for me, using such a small amount of pencils helped to harmonise the picture as well, so it all looks like it belongs. This background took me forever. That's about 6 different layers of 6 different coloured pencils over the top to get that mottled effect that I really like. And the last picture I did in here is actually this end one. As you can see, I haven't started the double dragon yet. That's going to be a few years off, I think. And again, this picture was done just using these again. I managed to get the different shades of purple and green just by combining the basic 12 colours, which shows to anybody who can't afford a lot of art supplies, just get a basic 12 set of, well, in this case the Derwent Studios, and use that. They're a good quality pencil. They'll layer like a dream, as long as you use lots of light layers and you don't go really heavy to start off with. And you can create beautiful stuff. You don't need to have like 120 set of, I don't know, Faber-Castell Polychromos or luminance pencils or anything like that to have beautiful pieces of work done. Anyway, that is all I've done in Enchanted Forest. And we'll go on to the next one that I own of hers, which is this one. and you of course will recognise this one as Lost Ocean. Again, came with a dust jacket. I've taken the dust jacket off to protect it. This is the first picture I've done in here, which is the Lost Ocean title page. Again, this book is mostly going to be done in Polychromos pencils. Not that I'm biased or anything with pencils. Except for this page. This page was done using markers and gel pens and fine liners. I wanted to test to see if anything would bleed through on this paper, and I've given it a really hard time with all of those different wet media, and as you can see on the other side, not a single thing bled through. It's great. That sort of mark that you can see here is a bit of transference from the front cover to the back. It's not actually any bleed through. So anybody who's wondering if you've got this, the British edition or the Australian edition of this book, the paper is gorgeous and you can show anything you like on it. It's great. This is again the little nameplate page, and of course I haven't put my name there, which I have to do sometime, but my handwriting is absolutely horrendous. Let's pull that back into the centre. How's that? This book I'm not working from front to back, by the way, so pictures are all over the place, which is why I've put all these tags in here. This one took a while just because everything was so tiny. I know when this book came out, everybody was sort of like, everything is so small, the line art is so small and detailed. And it's good. I like the fact that each one of Jono Basford's books is different. This one is great for if you like to do a lot of fine liner work or with nice hard pencils with hard tips. And then there are other books where there are bigger, sort of broader pictures that you can sort of like splurge out with colouring a bit. This took forever, as it does, because I was pretty obsessive about making everything different. Next in here is, did I do here? No, I didn't. This is another one you might recognise from a tutorial I did on how to apply the pastel at the back, the soft pastels when you grind it all up and then rub it in using a pad to make a nice smooth background. This was great. I like this picture. It was fairly easy to do. And oh look, there's another one of my tutorials. Okay, I think again this is a 4-part tutorial where I show you how to colour in the jellyfish and add these little bubbles, and then to finish it all off by applying the soft pastel. This is one that I did when I was on a cruise ship. I took this book with me on a cruise ship so that, because, you know, the theme is aquatic and we were on the sea, so it kind of fit. This again, Faber-Castell Polychromos with a pastel background which has been augmented with more Polychromos over the top to put shadows underneath the crabs. This one is another one that was abandoned for a long time, a work in progress because it just took so long. I wanted to do one of these little very fine detailed pieces, and I used a combination of Derwent artist pencils and Staedtler fine liners as well with this, and I think I used a couple of Stabilo fine liners. I have a pack of Stabilos and a pack of Staedtlers. So I combine those, and every so often I just come back to it and do a little bit more, and finally got it done. I'm not 100% happy with the result, but it's not bad. It is what it is. Oh good, I must have used this book a lot for tutorials. Here's another one where I use this page to demonstrate how to do this very easy wooden paneling background using, first of all, putting a layer of pastel down and then bringing out the detail using pencils. I like this one. I like the limited palette that I've used for the skull there. It's basically just black, a dark olive green, a mid olive green and a lemon green, sort of a lemon yellow. Just the 4 colours to do the lot, I think. Oh, except for a little bit of brown there on the handle of the knife. Now, I think there's one more in here. Yeah, okay, right. I haven't done anything else. Oh, I have to get back to this book. I say that about all my books. And this one, again, is another one where there is a tutorial up showing how I did this. And that one is actually a speed paint. I wanted to do one that was all bright colours, so that was fun. And I used a gold gel pen to fill in all of the lines. I'm going to do something similar with this fish on the other side. And that's all that I have in that one. Next, okay, here we go. Magic Jungle. All right, this one I was absolutely thrilled to receive because this was one that was sent to me from Joanna Basford, and I adore it. I really do. I think this is probably my favourite of her books. This Magical Jungle. Oh, I'm looking forward to a floral one that's coming out later this year though. Can't wait for that. Not that I don't have enough to colour in already. Really, I hate to admit how many books I've got. Anyway, let's get on with this one. This is coloured in with Polychromos, and again, it's the first picture that I did in this book. Quite like it. Haven't coloured in the nameplate here yet, and look, my name's in it, only because somebody else wrote it in, not me. It was done by Joanna. Thank you very much for doing that. It's a bit of a thrill. Okay, I had to do a double page spread in this book just because I love it so much. And this is the first double page spread that I did. I think this is the second piece I worked on in this book. Whole thing is done with Polychromos, and I have not used any gel pen or white gel pen or anything at all to this. All of the highlights are highlights that I have retained by not colouring in over the top of them. I like to challenge myself sometimes to use nothing but pencil and just steer away from the easy kind of glittery, glamoury look that you can get with sparkles and gel pens. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I like to challenge myself to create a picture without them at times. And other times I go mad and put lots of sparkles and white gel pen on. So either or either. This is a picture that I started and I really stuffed up the background and couldn't fix it, so I just finished it the way it was. I don't mind it. It's okay. It's not what I originally planned, and I've seen this picture done absolutely beautifully by other artists, but this is as good as my version is going to get. This is the second picture that I coloured in this book, I think. This one, again, all Faber-Castell Polychromos. Pretty much everything I colour is Faber-Castell Polychromos or Inktense, but anyway, I'll tell you when I've done differently. This was originally just the wreath of flowers and the 2 parrots, and I've added all the little stones around the outside. Now I've done a few more in this book than I thought. This is one of those books where I had quite a few outstanding pictures that I hadn't finished, and I've been finishing them off. In fact, this one here I've just finished this morning, the Toucan. This one here is, I've started making a video on how to colour this one, which is why it's at this stage so far. So I'll see if I can find what happened to the first part of the video, and I'll continue it because it's been quite a while since I did the first part. This one I've coloured with, guess what, not Polychromos pencils. I actually used something different this time, and I'll show you what they are. They're an Australian pencil, and they're from a company that's actually owned locally, and that's these Kaiser colours. And these are cute pencils. They're all very bright colours, as you can see here, and they've got a triangular body. I like them because I have quite a few Kaiser craft stores in Geelong, and they sell these pencils individually as well. They're a bit waxy to use, but I like them. They're designed as craft pencils. And the colours are super duper bright, as you can see here. That's turned out really bright. This is all done with those pencils, plus a little bit of the Kohinoor magic pencils for the background to give it a bit of variation, and a bit of gel pen as well to make it all sparkle, because sometimes I do want the sparkle. Now the only problem with this book that I have is that it's it's not perfect bound, which means it's not bound using folded paper signatures. It's this glue bound one, and the pages are starting to come out, which makes me sad because I can't stick that down yet because I haven't finished it and I don't know if I want to colour in the outside. In fact, this one I do plan to colour in the outside of it. So I'll just have to be careful until I can fix it up. But anyway, I've done a couple with the Kaiser craft pencils in here because the Kaiser craft pencils actually come up really well on this paper. I'll show you a couple more I've done. I'm going to just fight my way through it. I haven't done anything else. No. This one here, again with the Kaiser craft pencils, and this one I've also used a bronze coloured gel pen to do the leaves at the back. And to get that texture, I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, probably down here is better. To get the texture in the pencils, I've used a piece of cardboard, also from Kaiser Craft, which is a crafting cardboard, which has a woven texture, and I've put that behind, you know, remember the old paper rubbings that you do in primary school? You go out and you rub things with the paper over the top to get the texture. That's how I've done it. Put this underneath with the texture side up and then coloured over the top. I don't know if I've seen anybody use that technique, but I like using it myself because it gives a bit of variation to the picture. I've done it a couple of times, but I can't think for the life of me which books I've used it in. I've also, if you've noticed, used another technique where I've made the colour here very dense, and then these leaves here I've done very lightly, and that's to put them in the background and to bring these more densely coloured leaves into the foreground. So this picture was basically a lot of experimentation with different techniques. And the last one I've got in here is the elephant in the bottle one. Again, I've seen absolutely gorgeous variations of this where they've done all these beautiful sparkly backgrounds, but I just wanted to colour the elephant in the bottle, so that's all I did. This one I laid down a base coat of watercolour to start off with, so I've got some pale watercolour underneath, and then I've coloured in with Faber-Castell pencils over the top, and then used some gel pen to bring out the shine in the bottle to give it a bit more dimension, to show that it's actually a glass bottle you're looking into. I particularly like how the cork came up in this one. That's all I've done in that one. Okay, I've got one more Joanna Basford one for you, and that's her latest one from late last year, Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. I've done quite a few in this one. This is the American version of the book. This was sent to me by Joanna, which again, very thankful for. It really is a beautiful book. I've actually got two versions because I didn't know she was sending me one, so I already had pre-ordered one on the Book Depository from Britain, so I've got both the American version and the English version. I'll probably give the English one away as a present sometime. This one, now, along with the book, I also received a set of Staedtler Ergosoft pencils, 24 set, and I've used those pencils in this book quite a lot because I really, even though these pencils are a bit harder to use and they benefit from a lot of layering, I really liked the soft effect that I could get with them. And I've done the title page for once, the nameplate page, and I also coloured in the little vines at this side as well, both using the Ergosoft pencils. Sorry, I'm taking all these out as I go. And this double page spread here, this was the first thing I coloured in, or the second, no, it would have been the second thing I coloured in this book. This again is done with the Ergosoft pencils, and this is where I really fell in love with these Ergosoft pencils. No, the colour isn't as dense as you get from Prismacolors or even the Polychromos. They're a lighter pencil. They need to be used with a fine touch. They benefit from a lot of layering, and it's good to keep a nice sharp point with them as well. But on the plus side, being a harder pencil, the point lasts a lot longer. So you're not sharpening them as much as you would with the Prismacolors, which you go through very, very quickly. That side I did with the Ergosoft. This side I did with Faber-Castell Polychromos. Not so fond of this one. I really don't like how the green turned out, but it's growing on me. I don't dislike it as much as I did. I look at it now and think, oh, it's not too bad. Still, I can think of the different things that I would have done with it if I had another go at it. For one thing, I want to use that green. That was just a bit too bright, I think, for the picture. But anyway, it is what it is again. I love these pages which are just surrounding pattern for the dialogue, for the story itself. This one again I did with the Ergo Soft pencils. You can see you can get some nice dense colour out of the Ergo Soft pencils without being totally retinifying. Yep, and this one is one of the pages I'm still working on. Again, both of these are done with Ergo Soft. Just experimenting with all the different variations and colours that I can use with the different leaves of flowers and things. Love this. This is a nice, easy thing to do. I'll just do a couple of the little designs every so often when I feel like colouring something, but I don't want to colour anything big. And I've got a couple more in here. Oh yeah, this one of course. This is my double page spread, which I did for the review. This is all done with the Polychromos pencils. Now this is what made me sad though. With this particular binding in this US version of the book, it's splitting away. The pages are actually loose and coming out, so I've had to actually use some clear masking tape to tape this page back down to make sure it didn't fall out. But you can see the center line here. I think what I'll do in future is get some paper masking tape and go down the center with it before I start doing a double-sided page, and just colour onto the paper masking tape. I'll just have to find a place where I can buy it. I know it is available, but I don't have any at present, so I'll let you know when I know. And this double page spread took me about 2 weeks to complete, and I was working on this one exclusively in all the spare time that I had for colouring. But I love doing it, absolutely love doing it. It was buckets of fun. This paper is very nice paper to colour in. And this is the last one I've got in here. And this is back to the Ergo Soft pencils again, and I enjoyed it. I wanted to try out doing a bit of a variegated background using green, blue and black, and I think that's worked out all right. Okay, and that's all of the Joanna books. Let's do this book next. It's Mille Mirages Animal Kingdom. Since this is a book that is one of my earliest ones, I got this at the same time that my husband gave me the Enchanted Forest. So this has got some of my earliest works in it too. And the very first thing I coloured in here, because, oh no, this would have been the second thing I coloured in this one. So my masochist was this big octopus. Because I saw him, and I love octopus, I love squids, I love octopuses, I like cuttlefish. So when I saw him, I thought I really have to do him. And this took me forever. I don't know how many layers of pencil I laid down. And then I went with a blender pencil and I blended it all in. This paper isn't my favourite paper to colour in on, but it does the job. It's not the worst, but I found it's just a little bit too slippery for coloured pencils to get really good depth and multiple layers. But it worked out. And I did these two elephants. This one was actually done with, hang on, I'll fit them both in for you. This one was done with Mikador Colour Rush pencils. And this one was also done with Mikador Colour Rush pencils. So they work okay in this paper. This is one of the ones that Mille used to in this book. I don't think she did in any of her others, but in her first book she left a lot of these pictures where you had to add the details in yourself. She only had a few details in. So I've tried to imitate her style as much as I can so that the two pictures would match. Now the only regret that I did have was that I used a 0.2 fine liner to do this, and I really should have used a 0.1 because my own marks, my own lines are slightly thicker than the printed lines. But anyway, here's what it is. I achieved what I wanted to achieve with it, so I'm happy. And this was a very quick one I did when I first got my Caran d'Ache luminance pencils, just to test them out. And I rubbed in some yellow pastel dust over the top afterwards. I'm not really happy with the effect, but there, I would have liked to have retained the white in the wings a bit better. I think if I really wanted to, I could go back in and rub that out and try and get the white to come back, but I'm not that bothered. I'm happy just to leave it that way. This is the first picture I did in this book. Little Budgie. I did him in the original colours that Budgies come in, which is the yellow head and the green body. All the other variations are just been bred in over the years. Too long that Budgies have been bred in captivity. They're called parakeets, I believe, overseas, but we call them Budgies. And they travel around in huge flocks in the outback looking for watering holes. And when I'm saying huge flocks, I'm saying tens of thousands of Budgies in a flock. So quite a lot of them. This is a boy. How can you tell it's a boy? Because his cere, which is where his nostril holes are, is blue. Girls are brown. Also the boys have more of this kind of cheek colour as well. But the cere is the dead giveaway. They're born with little sort of lilac coloured ceres, and as they mature the girls will go brown and the boys will go blue. Yeah, Polychromos, just in case you didn't realise. These two here. Let's have a look. This was done with Polychromos. This one was done with Callan's, which is a an Asian brand of pencil, which are very soft and bright. These ones were done with a brand of pencil that I was trying out, but I don't really like. I'm just trying to remember what they were called. They're a Mitsubishi pencil, but they're not the really nice good ones. I think they're the 666s, these ones. They're a bit difficult to use, I think. But very hard to layer. But that turned out okay, I don't mind it. This one, oh yeah, this is another one that I coloured in using the technique of putting a textured piece of card behind it so that I could get the texture onto the paper, onto the actual colouring itself. Just to mix it up a bit. And this one I coloured in as well using my little Derwent Studios. And I think I only used 3 colours to do that. I used the purple, a mauve colour, and blue, and that was it. So kind of a limited colour challenge thing. Any more in here? No, there's one more I think. Oh yes, I know which one it is. This one is one that I used as a test sheet for fine liners and markers to see if they'd bleed through. And unfortunately on this paper it did, and it bled through to an extent that I can't work around it. So that's why I haven't used fine liners or markers again in this book. I do have a couple of other books from Mille's collection, but I haven't done any work in them, so they're still in the shelf. I'll leave it here, and I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of my finished colouring works, and I will see you next time with part 2, and until then, happy colouring! I hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on, and until next time, happy colouring!